Hey, look out. It's FaithTalk Live. I'm McProbst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, we finally wrangled this girl. She's all over the planet. Linda Gunter, love him, love them. Linda, how are you?
Good morning. I'm amazing. Coming to you live from the United States of America. That's always exciting, where Wi-Fi and internet is readily available.
Usually, at least, maybe. Well.
Now, she did that because there are times that she is in other places that are not the U.S. So I think we've all struggled with that, right? Technology, when you're in a place, we're so blessed.
Yes.
We're able to do our show from our homes.
Yeah.
Other countries, they're trying to get the right snail mail to themselves. But anyway, I digress. Linda is the co-founder of Love Him, Love Them. They focus on helping orphans, widows, widowers in Northeast Georgia, Haiti, and the Ukraine. Linda, we ran into you. You weren't actually on the panel, but somehow we ran into you, I think the first time when we were on the Christian View. And
you were going to be on with them at another episode, I think, right?
Yeah, I was on there. I was their guest for Miracles. I was on the Miracles show.
Okay.
That's
awesome. They're a great bunch of folks. We just did a taping, was it last week or the week before, Dan? And I think, I don't know when it airs, pretty soon. But we love those guys over there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get this? You obviously, it says the co-founder of Love Him, Love Them. How did this calling get dropped on you, if you will?
So in 2004, one of my very best friends who was helping me at that time, I had a homeless shelter in Vine City in Atlanta. And this friend was the volunteer that did our banking and our setting up of checking accounts. We had a really amazing setup in Atlanta where, because my husband and I were real estate investors, we had enough property that we were able to actually bring women into our shelter who would not be accepted anywhere else for several different reasons. And we would, for lack of a better term, run them through the shelter, give them Jesus, give them jobs, give them education, transportation, whatever they needed. And then we were able to funnel them through into our properties, either into an apartment, or we could actually owner finance for them and not only take them from homelessness to a home, but they could actually own a home, have a job, and move forward with their family. So pretty amazing. And during that process, one of my very good friends, who was a mortgage broker, she ran the financial side of it, for lack of a better term, helped them set up a checking account, showed them how to do a budget and different things like that. And in 2004, a very tragic event happened that took her out of this world. And in that same event, it took her husband and her mother out of 5 children's lives.
Wow.
And so those 5 children sort of fell through the cracks. And to make a very long story short, which is in this book here, Peanut Butter Crackers and Flip-Flops, on the 17th day of the 7th month of the year 2007, the family living in my home went to the size of 7 with children the ages of 7 to 17.
Wow.
Didn't have any children, never wanted children, don't really like children. I shared with my husband on our very first date that we weren't going to have any children. Some little kid we were at a really nice restaurant, and some little kid went running through with a naked Barbie doll. And I was like, I don't know about you, but I don't want any of them. It's like, me either.
That's
funny. So anyways,
I told her not to take that Barbie doll over there, but she did it anyway. I'm sorry.
Children. So one fact that I left off was that my friend was Haitian. And so those 5 children were Haitian. And there's a story in and of itself with them and how they came to America. But anyways, I think about 3 years in, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I cannot express to you how much I did not know what I was doing. We didn't even have a vehicle big enough. I was driving a Jag at the time. I was a real estate investor. I was an entrepreneur with several businesses going on. I literally had to borrow a minivan to pick up the kids, which is crazy. And I ended up with like 2 in elementary school, 1 in middle school, 1 in high school, 1 that had dropped out. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So it took me about 3 years to figure out even where the schools were, let alone what size they were or anything else.
Wow.
But after that, I decided that I was sick and tired of people treating everyone that knew their story, treated them like victims. And Christmas for us was just ridiculous. I mean, which I've learned now is the same for most families. I mean, they go from one house to the next house and spend 2 to 3 hours opening gifts, and then go to the other parent's house and spend 4 more hours opening gifts for stuff they don't need. And so I ran our home like a business. We had family meetings we took minutes. We ran it by Robert's Rules of Order, just like I ran my businesses. Wow. And so at our November 2011 family meeting, I made a motion. And I said, I make the motion that this Christmas, nobody gets anything. Instead of sitting around opening gifts, we're going to go to Haiti, and we're going to take you back where you came from, and we're going to find an orphanage that we can help. I said, so we'll take all the money that we would spend. We'll ask other people all the gifts they would give you, so we don't get anything. Well, that went over like a ton. Real well. My kids, they were like, what do you mean by nothing? So we're not getting nothing. I was like, it means the same in French, English, Hebrew, Greek, nothing. So I couldn't get a second to the motion. And then finally, my youngest daughter, Jazzy, she was like, all right, I'll try it. So fast forward, that Christmas, which it was ridiculous. We reached out to every large organization that had any footprint in Haiti. Everybody told us all the missionaries come home at Christmas. And this was our November meeting. I only had 2 weeks to plan a mission trip, which I had never done. I mean, I'd rather stay at the Hilton than go on a mission trip. That was not my thing. So the whole story of how that even got put together is a big part of where we're at today. But my very white husband, myself, and our 5 little Haitian kids got on an airplane and went to Haiti, and we found an orphanage with 17 girls. My great that we now run. We run that orphanage now, and we stayed in a guest house that is now ours 9 years later. And while we were on that trip, we had only taken for those 17 girls, but the gentleman that ended up taking us around said that he had a friend. Now, this is the year right after the earthquake in Haiti. And he said, Linda, I've got a friend. He said, he and I used to be in a band together. He said, and he doesn't really have an orphanage, but children from that neighborhood who lost their families after the earthquake, they just sort of migrated to his house. He said, he's got like 30 kids there. He goes, and he really needs help. Wow. And I said, no, I don't want to go. We don't have any gifts for him. We didn't plan for that. We're not going to do that. And my husband said, absolutely, we would love to. So we got on the back of a cow truck, and we go to this place that was, I can't describe it to you, but it was 3 stories high. It was literally had a river running through it because of the devastation of the earthquake. We had to go up 3 flights of stairs, no running water, no electricity. This was Christmas Day, 2011. And we took this suitcase with us that had a couple of pair of flip-flops in it, but this suitcase was miraculous. Every time we opened it, there were more things in it. And so that day we went upstairs and opened that suitcase, and there were 30 gifts, exactly what we needed for the girls, exactly what we needed for the boys. They all got flip-flops. My gracious. And we did what everybody does on these mission trips. You sit around, you sing, you talk about Jesus, you blow bubbles, you color. And we were about to leave. And the guy that was in charge of the place, he said, Mommy, everybody calls me in Haiti, Mommy Linda. So Mommy Linda, before you go, I want for my kids to sing for you. And I was like, I was a very hard-nosed chick, pretty big, bad, and bold. But even I couldn't figure out how to say, it stinks in here. I'm out of here. I don't want your little orphan kids singing for me. I'm gone. So instead, I walked over and I sat in the living room. They put me on a urine-stained daybed. And they handed me this 4-month-old baby that somebody had dropped off the night before. Oh, wow. And so I'm sitting there holding her. And all of a sudden, I don't know if he snapped or I didn't know Creole at the time. I don't know what he said, but like in 5 seconds, generators went on, drums got set up, musical instruments came from nowhere. All those kids came over and were standing in front of us. And these children sang for us on Christmas Day, 2011. And I was like, if I was Jesus, this is where I'd want to spend my birthday, right here. Wow. These children, I literally felt like Jesus Christ himself tapped me on the shoulder and said, Linda, this right here, this is the joy of the Lord. Yeah, girl, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what materialistic things you have or don't have, I want you to look at these kids. Wow. They have nothing. And they are serving me and singing they were singing with the joy I had never seen before. I couldn't even comprehend it. When I walked out of that orphanage that day, I told the guy that brought us there, I said, somebody needs to bring those kids to the United States. I said, you're not going to believe this probably. I said, but everybody in the United States that I know has everything they need. And most of them have everything they want, but they aren't happy. There's no joy. They're not happy about anything.
Right.
And the guy looked back at me and he said, oh, Mommy Linda, every American I bring here, they say the same thing, but don't nobody do nothing about it. And I was like, okay. So I left that day. I'm telling you, it completely changed my life. And it just rocked my world. And I thought, you know, if they were able to, if the Holy Spirit was able to work through them in one song, what could that do for America? I mean, I was a real estate broker. I had a day spa, a photo. I mean, I had a bunch of businesses. You know, I didn't have no choir. I didn't have no bus. I didn't know what that looked like. So I came back, and basically at our January family meeting, I asked our kids, you know, I was like, what was that trip to Haiti? Was that a one-time thing, or, you know, what are we doing? And the same daughter, Jazzy, she was like, oh, Mommy Linda, those kids, they're counting on us. You know, we don't have an option. We have to go back.
Wow.
So my 5 kids for that next couple of years, I mean, each one of them did, like one of them made bracelets, one of them made cake pops. I mean, they did, their whole world was changed by that. Even though they were from the country, once you leave the country, you don't remember how the country is. But they were really rocked by that, and they wanted to raise whatever funds, and they told their friends, and different things happened. And we went back the next year for Christmas. Actually, we've not spent a traditional Christmas since. We've spent every Christmas since then in Haiti. But we went back, you know, and I shared again with those kids, and I was like, I really would like to bring you to the United States. And they were like, yes, Mommy Linda, yes. And then like the 3rd year, I kept coming back home, and I would reach out again to, I mean, there are a lot of big organizations that have major footprints in Haiti. And I reached out to all of them. And I said, here's my vision, here's my dream, here's my goal, here's what happened. And they were like, girl, you are crazy. You think the American government and the Haitian government are going to work together with you to let an entire orphanage from Haiti come to the United States? I don't know whose money you're spending, but you're wasting it. And that is never going to happen. And so I thought about it, and I was like, you know, they're probably right. I don't know how in the world I can do that. So about the 3rd or 4th year that I went back, I had an idea, and I told the kids, I said, here's what Mommy Linda thinks. Mommy Linda thinks that Jesus loves orphans. And Mommy Linda thinks that if you guys will pray, you can make this happen.
That's good.
And so they were like, oh, we got that. You know, I mean, prayer, that's how you survive in Haiti. Not here in America where we just pray for somebody if they say they got a kidney that has to be out or something. They literally survive on prayer because that's how they make it to their next meal, to everything. They really and truly count on the Lord, something that we don't even understand in America. And so lo and behold, to make a very, very long story short, because here's the deal, guys. When you say, I want to bring an orphanage to America, you don't just run up to the Delta ticket counter and say, 30 tickets, please. Because before you get an airline ticket, you got to have a visa. Well, there's a walk in the park for you if you've never tried to get that.
Anything through the federal government, yeah.
Yeah, before you can get a visa, you got to have a passport. And before you can get a passport, you got to have a birth certificate. Well, guess what? If you're the only member from your family that was pulled out from underneath the rubble of an earthquake, and you're a little kid, you don't know your birthday.
Yeah.
And if the entire administration of the country that you're from has fallen apart, it's not like you can run to the courthouse and ask for a copy of it. That's the level that we started at with the project to bring those kids, is we literally had to come up with birthdays, which I'll just make a side note. If anybody else wants to bring a choir to the United States and you're going to make up birthdays, separate them out a little bit, because sometimes it can get a little monotonous when you have 17 birthdays in the same month. That's a side note. So anyways, in 2015, 2016, those 30 kids got on a Delta flight and they came to America, and they sang from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, all the way up to Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Everywhere they sang, whether it was for 10 people at the side of someone's deathbed, or whether it was for 85,000 people at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the exact same thing that happened to me happened to the audiences.
Wow.
Because what happened was, it ended up being a reverse mission trip. And I'm sure you guys have been out of the country, but when you hear people that come back from mission trips, their lives are rocked,
Yeah.
right? And they plan to go. They've gone through the process. They've bought their ticket and everything. When you just happen to show up and you think you're just going to listen to a bunch of little kids sing, you're not really prepared for what the Holy Spirit is going to do to you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last tour alone, 2018, we had 875 salvations.
Wow.
Just in that one tour.
Wow.
And here's what's even the more exciting, or I don't know, there's so many exciting parts. The first year, they went back with child sponsorships. And listen, when they came that first year, we had $120 in our bank account. 8 buses break down on the way to the airport to pick them up. Just a tad bit of spiritual warfare. I could go on. And I mean, my own husband was driving a trailer down with all the musical instruments. Both tires in the trailer popped.
Oh, God.
Wait, I've never seen this happen, Linda. This is insane. I don't know what we're in for. But the first year we went back and we moved those kids out of that jacked up place they were in. They had running water, they had electricity, they had their school supplies, they had their school uniforms.
Wow.
A real estate agent got involved. They actually went back with a computer lab in that first year. The second year we went back, because here's what we also learned. People love to help orphans, but once you turn 18 and you can't stay in the orphanage anymore, those kids are not as exciting to sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really is excited about finding them work. It's more fun to play with the cute kids. So we opened up a transition home for all of our kids once they turn 18. We started a vocational school. The other thing that we've learned in working in Haiti is just because you have a job doesn't mean you're getting a job to get paid for. You could potentially be a sex slave to be able to keep that job. And so with my girls, I won't let them work anywhere else unless I provide jobs for them. And then the third year that we sang, we had an instance where, because we had this church and because we had this vocational school and because we had this transition home and it's out in the middle of nowhere, we had an instance where somebody coming down off the mountain on the back of a motorbike who was in labor, the driver pulled into our location thinking that there had to be a medical facility there because there were all these other things. And to make a very long story short, I feel like that's all I ever say. We lost the lady died and the baby died.
Mm.
And at that moment, our Haitian administration and myself, we decided we got to open a medical facility. That's just all there is to it. And we were both like, I said, well, I don't know how to do that. And then I was like, well, I guess that makes it even more exciting because nothing is impossible with God. I don't know how to do anything I've done. So the third year on the choir tour, we raised the funds to open the first level of the hospital. And we actually just opened it in the middle of COVID-19. August 29th was our grand opening for that hospital.
Amazing.
So, and here's what's even, God is so hilarious. Day one, a lady walks in labor and that baby was born and she's alive and the baby's alive. I think God was just like, okay, girl, we got this, just to let you know.
Wow.
And guys, even more exciting than that, the third year, every night on stage, I was the bus driver. I got my CDL to drive the stupid bus because nobody would volunteer to drive the bus. And what happens on the bus?
Stays on the bus. Yeah.
And I was also the speaker. And so every night, probably at 600 different concerts, I would say at the end, all of these children are available for adoption. We'd love for you to step forth, you Christians. At James 1:27, real religion is to help the orphans who are in a hot mess. These kids are in a hot mess. And every night for 3 years, nothing. And then the last 2 concerts of 2018, people stepped up. It was miraculous. And 22 of those 30 kids are currently living in the United States of America. They are here either on student visas, they're attending, we have them all the way from 2nd grade to a sophomore in college, or they're in the waiting process of being adopted.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
That's a short story.
Well, listen, we've got to take a break. You've just scratched the surface here. I think we need to get you back on the show because that's just about the orphans. I mean, you do so many other things. Linda Gunter here. Love him, love them. Wow. That's all I can say. Go to lovehimlovethem.org and would really like you to check out what's going on there. Again, Linda, you just scratched the surface here. Let's get you back and let's get you going.
Yeah. Linda, it sounds like that first Christmas day that you were down there.
Yeah.
I think you were down there for you just as much as you were for them.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Wow.
And we're just praying you'll break out of your shell someday and just kind of do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to not be shy.
Linda Gunter, what a story. Go to, again, there it is, lovehimlovethem.org. And if she's available, we're going to get her back on a number of times. And let's read the whole book of Linda Gunter and the rest of
Hey, she can come pick us up in the bus and we can just go have a good time,
yeah.
right?
That'd be amazing.
That is funny.
Yeah.
All right, we can break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probe.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.